All right, we're at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, where tonight South Carolina opened its season with a 17-13 win over North Carolina. The Gamecocks went in as 2-point favorites, and as that would indicate, it was a tight ball game throughout, and the Gamecocks didn't take the lead until the fourth quarter, and then came up with a huge defensive play in the final minutes to help seal the victory, and the offense went out and did something they couldn't do last year, got a couple of first downs to seal the win. Came back, I know Steve Spurrier after the game wasn't, turning cartwheels, and he wasn't jubilant. But I want to say this, this is a great win for South Carolina.
Sure.
They played a good opponent who's going to win a lot of games, and you didn't know what you were going to get in Connor Mitch or in a lot of parts of this team. You didn't know what you were going to get, and now you have a better feel. I thought that was a very gutsy win by them tonight.
Well, they got to win, and we don't know how good North Carolina is going to be. I know Spurrier said they're going to win a lot of games. We'll see how that plays out, but it was kind of a vintage Gamecock win. The defense they carried the day. Steve Spurrier had to rely on his run, and the quarterback didn't do a lot. Now, that doesn't make Steve Spurrier happy. He was happier last year after the Auburn loss when they scored a ton of points than he was today after the win against North Carolina, but he did get the win. But he said he didn't call a good game. He didn't feel good about the fourth down call, but they find a way to get it done. The defense, 3 turnovers, Sky Moore with 2 in the end zone. They made every play they had to, shutting them down in the second half. Very impressive. John Hope, Steve Spurrier was griping for John Hope to force a punt. He didn't let North Carolina get back in the end zone again. That was very, very impressive on the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up some gas runs in the second half. They gave up a bunch of big plays. North Carolina's per play average, very impressive, but the Gamecocks shut them down in the red zone. You shut this team out for a half. I mean, this is a very good offense. Now, they're going to be all over Marquise Williams for his picks tonight.
Colorblind.
In North Carolina land, yeah. But that was a very good defensive performance in the second half. I like Connor Mitch tonight. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if he would make it through the first quarter and be benched because he played horribly. It wasn't the case. I thought he played smart. I thought he played tough. His passing numbers aren't going to look great, but he had at least 3 drops that would have made it look a lot better. And he didn't, except for one time when he threw a swing pass, a sideline pass, it could have been picked off. He really didn't put the ball in jeopardy.
No, he didn't, and that's what he had to do, manage the game. And he did settle in a little bit. He threw some good balls out there. One, the defensive back from North Carolina in the first half made a nice play on a deep pass. I don't know if that was to Cooper. I don't remember. And then the long one that Samuel dropped, I believe, going down the middle of the field. So he did what he had to do, not turn the ball over. And South Carolina forced 3. They had a couple of fumbles in North Carolina territory that they were able to jump on. And Spurrier said it, sometimes it's just about having the ball bounce your way, and as he calls it, the football gods smiling on them. Well, Marquise Williams was one of those football gods. 3 in the red zone, 2 in the end zone. Just a tough loss if you're North Carolina. But this is the kind of game that last year South Carolina would have lost. The defense would have given up a score there at the end. The offense wouldn't have been able to pick up the first down, or wouldn't have been able to drive down the field. So they had to have this game. They get it. They have a lot of things to be happy about defensively, because this is a North Carolina team that had 10 returning starters and a senior quarterback. He didn't play well tonight. I like to give defenses credit too, and the defense made plays when they had to make plays.
Well, you go back and look at the pregame checklist of what South Carolina had to do to win the game. I think they accomplished most of those. They ran the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They won the clock battle. They won total play battle. They won the turnover battle. They didn't turn it over. Now, there's some things that they did wrong. They had too many penalties, too many motion penalties, procedure penalties, delay penalties. But those are all fixable things. So I think that's a good thing. I think this is an excellent starting off point for this USC football team. Now you get to go back home and play Kentucky on a couple of extra days of rest and in front of your home crowd, which will be juiced coming off a win here. You know Williams-Brice will be sold out and rocking, and a chance to avenge a very difficult loss from last year.
Yeah, that was a tough one for him last year. And, Connor Mitch, one thing that he did that maybe people didn't expect out of him, he converted some long third downs running the ball. And Jess tweeted Connor Shaw making plays out there. That's what it reminded you of, the zone read. And then he went out there and made some plays and showed some real gritty effort out there. And I think that's something the Gamecocks can definitely build on going forward with him. And Now with it going back home, and Kentucky's a winnable game, I get another tune-up before Georgia. But this was a toss-up game for them going into it. Nobody knew how it was going to turn out. I thought South Carolina had a good chance to lose. I actually picked North Carolina to win this game.
Yes,
and so it's documented. I'm 0 for 1 on the college football season, but an impressive, to me, just amount of fortitude for this team after what they went through last year. I know every year is different, and there's a bunch of guys on this team that weren't on that team last year, but these coaches were around, most of them, so they had to fill it a little bit, and they found a way to win, and those are the kind of things that you can build on.
Yeah, and John Hoke, in his debut as co-defensive coordinator, whatever adjustments he and Lorenzo Ward made at halftime paid off. They came out in the second half and stopped North Carolina on the first possession. That really kind of set the tone for the defense in the second half. So good start of the season for South Carolina. You'd rather play poorly in the eyes of Spurrier and win than play great and lose. So they get one on the win column to open the 2015 campaign. That's 2 in a row if you go back to the bowl game last year. And a good start for South Carolina. Now they'll get ready for the Kentucky Wildcats a week from Saturday. Came back, enjoyed it.
Don't mention the Wildcat when you talk about Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, I think they've done away with the Wildcat.
That's news to Lorenzo.
I think South Carolina has now taken over the Wildcat the way they ran it tonight with
5 different quarterbacks. Not quarterbacks, 5 different people took snaps, not counting the punter, the fake punt. Spurrier actually spent time praising a punter tonight, so you see all kinds of crazy things in the college football season.
I thought Sean Kelly did an excellent job. He was a quarterback in high school, so he was very much comfortable taking the football and making a play with it. So,
and he punted well. I mean, that's a big thing. The special teams plays, pinning them deep. They did the little things that you have to do to win the game. And you mentioned the things that they made. The mistakes they made were correctable mistakes. Last year, after Texas A&M, you knew they had problems defensively that were going to linger all year. You can tell that. Now, they might have some offensive issues this year. Last year's offense was great. They're not going to be a great offensive team, but they do have a chance to get better. They'll find some guys. It was trial by fire, and they found a way to win against a quality opponent. We'll see how quality down the road, but they have to feel better about where they are as a team now than they did about a year ago.
They can be a dangerous offensive team with the running game they showed tonight, and with what Sean Carson gave them, and you saw what Brandon Wilds did on the last drive, and then David Williams sort of in the middle part of the game. They spread the work out amongst those 3 with Pharaoh Cooper in the mix. They'll run the ball on a lot of people. Now, if they can get a little bit of a passing game, a consistent passing game going, this offense will be something to deal with.
Be hard for Spurrier, though. He does not like being a run-oriented team. He likes winning, and he'll do it to win. He's always said that, but he does not like being a run-oriented team. He never has. It's painful. I mean, some of those 11-win seasons, you would have thought they lost a lot of those games because they won them just like this. It was kind of a vintage Gamecock win where the defense carries the day. They have some running backs that carry the load for them. But that's how that's how this team is going to have to win. They're not going to go out and outscore people.
We should give a shout out to Kelsey Griffin, defensive line. They had 4 sacks. Kelsey Griffin played like he's never played before in South Carolina. Finally stood up and was counted for.
13 going into the game. Third team going into the game.
Yeah.
Third team, 3-technique guy, and the third team running back broke it open, and Sean Carson. And that's what is crazy about college football. You just never know who's going to step up in an opener like this. Guys, you're not talking about it. Carson was a guy.
After having 14 sacks all of last season, they're on pace for 48 this year.
Yeah, a little bit of an improvement. And again, it's a North Carolina team that was terrible defensively last year. Gene Chizik seems to have helped right that problem, but they were great. And Larry Fedora is an offensive-minded coach, and they had 10 guys back. So
that was against a good offensive line getting 4 sacks, and they put pressure on Williams. They made him uncomfortable.
They scored 35. That offense scored 35 points against Clemson last year. That was a great Clemson defense. Now, some of it was in garbage time, but still, they managed to move the ball against that defense. And I'm not comparing the South Carolina defense to Clemson's last year, but it's a good sign if you're South Carolina, something to build on.
All right, now you can hear what Spurrier and some of the coaches and players had to say after the game right here at sportstalksc.com. And tomorrow night on Sports Talk, a complete open lines, open mind Friday opportunity for you to share your thoughts about what the Gamecocks did out here tonight at Bank of America Stadium. Final thoughts, Kim?
A great start to the college football season. A tight game, fourth quarter type game. The Gamecocks found a way to win it. So, yeah, it's a lot more fun to talk about a win than a loss, though it might have been a little more interesting tomorrow on the show. But a nice win for the Gamecocks and Steve Spurrier and the defensive players. I know that had to feel good, gratifying, especially on that side of the ball, the way they played.
All right, that'll do it. Sports Talk at the stadium here in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium, and we'll see you tomorrow night on Sports Talk. Because the